Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mindset Matters. My name is Victoria, your host, and welcome to the podcast where we live our best lives by grounding ourselves in resilience, presence, and gratitude. I often get comments that my microphone is low, and I think I finally figured it out. So I hope you can hear me a little bit better. Let me know in the comments. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, I'd love for you to leave me a review or a star. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, because that helps me get seen by more people and therefore help more people, which is obviously the goal. So what I would like to discuss with you today is living intentionally and intentionality, which I have to say is maybe the best thing that I have adopted over the past few years, and something that I feel has really allowed me to elevate my life by living with intention. So today I want to share with you what does it mean to live with intention and 5 different ways that you can kind of up-level your life and live more intentionally and therefore enjoy your life more, feel better day to day, and have more purpose in life. So let's get right into it, and thank you for being here. So firstly, what I want to discuss with you is, well, what does it mean to live with intention? To me, this means to live on purpose, right? Where you have kind of a vision in mind of like who you are, how you want to be, and you actually take intentional action to be that person and to show up in that way. So really, to me, living with intention is to think, to speak, to act in a way that aligns with who you are and who you want to be. And this keyword is alignment. I think living intentionally allows you to feel aligned. And there's nothing better than feeling aligned in your life. Like the way you think serves you, the way you speak serves you, the way you act and the habits you adopt serve you, make you feel aligned and give you an intentional life. Does that not sound beautiful? So I want to share with you 5 different ways that you can become more intentional in your life. And I do want to briefly mention, these are things that we deep dive into in the Mindset Mastery coaching program, where we really take the time, and I will be there to help coach you through these things. So if you want more guidance, you're looking to kind of create space for these things, but you need a little bit more help after watching this video, definitely go click the link in my description to check out my website, check out my offerings, and see if we can work together and I can help you live more intentionally. So number 1 for how to be more intentional in your life is to have a clear vision of your higher self and to create a clear vision of who your higher self is. So your higher self essentially is who you want to be, who you're aspiring to be, who is like the best version of you. So I'll often call it, your higher self, your best self, your ideal self. I use these kind of interchangeably. And with this kind of comes this vision of, what do you want out of life? And something I think is so important and has helped me so much is to get this type of clarity on who I want to be in life. And think of it as a big way, in a big sense. Who is the type of person that I want to be? What are the type of attributes that I have? What is my personality like? How do I show up in the world? And overall, what's kind of my purpose? What am I here to do? And I think when we have this kind of broad vision, right, you have this idea, that's when you can start working towards it. It's kind of like if you don't know what you want out of life, or you don't really know who you want to be or who your ideal self is, it's really hard to take intentional action towards that person. But if you can be more clear on who that person is, well, then you can start taking that positive action. So there's different exercises that you can do to kind of create this vision. And journaling is a huge one. I think there's probably a lot of resources out there already of, clarity questions of, okay, if you think of your life 10 years down the road, what would it look like? Or if, close your eyes, imagine yourself 15 years from now, you've just had a beautiful day at work. You come home, you're feeling fulfilled, you're feeling passionate. What did the day look like for you? So doing these kind of visualization exercises can help you kind of think positively about what is possible or what you actually want. Because so many people get stuck in even not knowing what they want out of life, right? And I think some people struggle with clarity and some people struggle with even knowing what that looks like. So if that sounds like it's resonating with you, then working with a coach might be something that is worthwhile. So once you kind of have this vision of yourself, you have your higher self, you understand a little bit more about the type of person you want to be. Okay, then we move into number 2, which is aligning your thoughts with that ideal self. So when I say aligning your thoughts, you need to think positively. And this includes adopting a growth mindset, okay? You need to be open to new things, understanding that challenge is normal, understanding that failure is okay, right? If you try something, it doesn't work, it doesn't mean you need to beat yourself up. Understanding that you actually do control your thoughts and you don't have to be a victim to the negative voice inside your head. This is really, really important. And what I think is more important to aligning our thoughts, or the first step, is to become aware of what those negative thoughts are. Are you constantly telling yourself you're not good enough? Are you constantly in your head like, oh, you're going to fail? Or, you're not pretty enough. You're not cool enough. You're not good enough to do X, Y, Z, whatever that is. If you are constantly telling yourself these things, life is going to be more challenging because you are going to hold yourself back. So aligning your thoughts is to think with intention and to therefore live more intentionally, okay? I never let my voice talk badly about myself. If I have negative thoughts going on in my head, okay, I become really aware of it, almost to become an objective observer. Like, what are the thought patterns going on? Like, what are the types of things my thoughts are always negative about, right? Because you might feel really good about your work life, but maybe your social life, you feel like you don't have a lot of friends. Your voice in your head's always saying, oh, well, you don't have friends. You can't make new friends. You'll never find your people. Like, if you're saying that to yourself, then it's going to be true. I will always, 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 I'll take this to the grave, that our thoughts are so, so important. So make sure you are thinking positively. Try to catch yourself with negative thought patterns and reframe it. Reframe it to be intentional. So number 3 is to adopt positive language and therefore to be very intentional with the words that you speak. And this can be speaking with others or yourself, but it's the same thing. Negative self-talk. I never say bad things about myself out loud. Even if I have a thought, I will brush it away before it comes out of my mouth. And this is so, so important because our subconscious mind actually cannot distinguish between sarcasm or something that's not actually true or what is actually true. So our subconscious mind takes what we say literally. I don't know if you've ever heard, not to say like, ha ha ha, I'm dead. You know how we always laugh and say, oh, ha ha, I'm dead, or oh my God, this meme killed me. Like, obviously that's a way of saying that something was super funny, but it's actually not good to talk like that and use that type of language. And it goes into even how we create our beliefs around ourselves. If you are constantly telling yourself, again, out loud, I'm not good enough, I will never be able to do this, or I'll never achieve my highest self. If you're telling yourself these things, your subconscious mind is actually taking that in and taking it as truth. So you need to align your words and be very intentional about how you speak to yourself and even how you speak to others. I really don't like when I'm with my friends and they talk badly about themselves to me. It bothers me so much. I was with a friend recently and she kept talking negatively about herself. And I had to tell her, like, you need to stop. Please stop talking about yourself in that way. It's not serving you. And to be honest, I don't want to be around people who are always bashing themselves, And I think in that way, you have to really think about, like when I'm around others, am I bringing positive energy? Am I bringing confident energy? You have to be intentional. You have to think about, okay, I'm going to show up today and I'm not going to complain. Or I'm going to hang out with my friends today. I am not going to say one bad thing about myself. Or I am not going to let them talk badly about themselves. If my friend says something bad about herself, I'm going to say, whoa, 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 that's not true, and help her reframe it. So I think it's about being intentional with your language, because the more you say something, the more it becomes deeply a belief in your subconscious mind. And that's what forms our beliefs. So let's actually flip it. What if every day you tell yourself, I am getting closer to my highest self. Every day I live an intentional life. Every day I get to choose to work towards my highest self. Okay, these are a few affirmation examples, but just saying that, again, saying it over and over and over, that is what you will start to believe. And I truly, truly believe that everything you put out will get reflected back to you. And actually, in one of the next episodes, we're going to talk about the life mirror more in depth. But again, become aware of the language patterns that you have. What types of words are you using? How are you speaking about yourself? How are you showing up when you speak about others? Are you always complaining, right? Because again, any sort of negative language, whether it's with ourselves, with others, if it's not aligned with who you want to be, or if you're not bringing positive energy to the space, it's not serving you. So really, really try to cut this out. I'm also speaking on this from personal experience. I have been there. I have been through the ringer with negativity and feeling like nothing could change, nothing good was going to happen, feeling so frustrated. And as soon as I started to change my thoughts, change my words, that's when I noticed that things started to align for me. So it's kind of this idea, you have to trust it before you see it, right? That's what faith is, believing without seeing. And it starts with you, and it starts with you changing how you show up in the world. This felt like the perfect time to take a little break and ask you some questions. Are you ready to see yourself as resilient and capable? Does the thought of creating positive, sustainable habits excite you? Are you ready to take intentional action towards building your dream life? And are you feeling a little bit stuck on how to get started? I invite you to explore the Mindset Mastery Program, my 8-week coaching program designed to help you elevate your mindset and transform your life. This coaching program is tailored to guide you in transforming your thoughts, language, and behaviors to embrace a more intentional and purposeful life. Get ready to feel confident and appreciative of who you are, face life's challenges with ease, and work with a coach who is focused on your well-being, helping you stay accountable, and encouraging you every step of the way. It's time to take control of your mindset and your life. Click the link below or visit mindsetmatterswithvic.com to learn all about it and book your free discovery call. Thank you, me, for sponsoring this episode. Let's get back to it. So number 4, you probably guessed it, is to align your actions with this version of you, this higher self. So how do you show up? What are your daily habits? Okay, there's so many books out there. Atomic Habits is a really good one. What are your daily habits? If your ideal self is a person who is really active and they find pleasure in exercise and taking care of their body, and yet your daily habits are to kind of sit on the couch all day, or, maybe you work in a space where you sit most of the day. Are you getting up to take little breaks? Maybe you have a standing desk. Maybe you take yourself for a walk before the workday starts. Your daily habits pretty much shape who you are. And this is interesting. And I learned this in the book, The Courage to be Disliked. And it really discussed how our personality is pretty much just our habits. And in theory, if we change our habits, we kind of change our personality and our beliefs, then in theory, we change who we are. And I will, again, this is another thing I'll take to the grave. See, I shouldn't even maybe be using this language because we're not trying to speed that process up. But something that I will truly always continue to express is that you have the power to change and grow in any way that you choose. You might have your innate personality and you might have, whatever you believe to be true about yourself, but it can change. And I'll give you a personal example. And I think I've talked about this before, but I am a deeply competitive person. And it used to manifest in ways where I would be competitive about things that I don't think were that necessary, or it made me get a little bit defensive if I didn't win or I didn't feel like I was the best at something. And I've really learned to let that go. And I think sometimes it simmers. Sometimes something will happen and my competitive nature comes out. But for the most part, I have built this self-awareness and I've built this kind of ability to ground myself in presence that I don't need to be the best at everything, or I don't need to compare myself to other people. And I don't need to get defensive if someone doesn't understand me or if something doesn't go my way. That is not who innately, quote unquote, I am as a person. And yet to me, yep, I am patient. I am a patient, present person because I've practiced. And that goes back to our daily habits. Everything is about how you show up. So if you can show up by adopting positive habits you can actually stick to and changing the way you show up in the world and how you actually act, then yes, you are changing yourself. Okay, let's say you want to be more social. So you decide that every week you're going to text at least one person or reach out to at least one person and try to set something up. That is you maybe going from not seeing anyone to actually intentionally acting on the desire to be a more social person. Let's say you really want to save more money to go on a vacation. Okay, so you look through your budget and you think about what are some things that maybe I can modify to put a little bit of money away. Even if it's like $30, I'm going to put into a savings account for travel. $30 a month. It can be something little that you're just compounding. You're letting it build. But you're taking intentional action to be the type of person who saves or to be the type of person who prioritizes saving for a vacation versus spending that money on something that maybe you don't want as much or don't need. Let's say fast food. Okay, you want to cut out fast food because you're spending too much money on it. As soon as you change that behavior and you start saying, I'm going to only buy one thing a month that's fast food, and that extra money I'm going to put into travel, then you are becoming the person who saves for travel because that is an intention. That is something that's important to you. Another thing that we can talk about in terms of your actions would be just the activities you engage in. If you want to be the type of person who's fit and active and enjoys exercise, join hobbies and activities that surround exercise, right? If you want to be someone who is more creative and you express yourself creatively, maybe you join a little art club, or maybe every Thursday night at home, you make space to paint. Okay, so it depends on what that looks like, and it doesn't have to be a daily thing. But you're creating space and you're intentionally creating space for the things that align with the person you want to be. Okay, for me, podcasting, I'm a podcaster. I'm a podcaster and a mindset coach. So guess what? I have to create time every week to do my podcast. And that's something that is an intentional choice, right? And once I started doing it consistently, I started seeing myself as a podcaster. Okay, so that's my identity shifting in a way. So our sense of identity can change. So the fifth point I want to touch on is the idea that when you have a pure intention and you are so dead set on this intention, I wholeheartedly believe that life will make it happen for you. Because when you start showing up in a way, again, through our thoughts, words, behaviors, when you start showing up in a way that aligns with this pure intention, you will see how things start to open up for you. And another book I cannot recommend enough is Transurfing in 78 Days. This is a book I reread. I reread it over and over and over. I will never stop rereading it because every time I read it, it just puts me back into that headspace of knowing that I can control my reality and that I can decide how I show up. And that is so powerful. So that's a book I definitely recommend. Another thing I wanted to touch on, which we kind of already talked about, but I wanted to talk about intentionality and others. So I talked a bit about how we use language when we're interacting with other people, but I think more specifically when I think of intention, I think of, well, who are you surrounding yourself with? Who do you hang out with? Did the people you hang out with align with who you want to be? Because it is so crucial to hang out with people who uplift you, who make you feel like a better person, people who you can bounce ideas off of. I have some amazing friends in my life who support me, who I can share my ideas with, who get me excited about things that I'm doing, and I'm excited for them, what they're doing. And it's such a beautiful thing to have this pure